So looking beyond the current phase of Russia's war against Ukraine, you have spent many years, as you mentioned before, working on security challenges in Eastern Europe and Eurasia. And how do you see and how do you envision the architecture of democratic resilience and security on post-war Ukraine?
I think we have to be realistic. All, stable democracies come on the basis of economic development. So the future of Ukraine has got to be stable. Ukraine will mean economic development, prosperity for the people of Ukraine. That's going to require a lot of, investment, assistance, guidance. If you look at the Second World War, after the Second World War, the U.S. played a big role through the Marshall Plan and other programs in helping to rebuild Western Europe. I think there's probably going to be programs like that are going to be needed, not just for the United States, like our other allies as well. It's in their best interest, including our partners in the Gulf, a lot of resources, a lot of money, and our European partners, right? So that's one thing. And then two, we're going to have to remember it's not just Ukraine. So again, I know this is going to be very unpopular with the Ukrainian listeners here, but there are other countries that need a lot of help. And we have Syria, which went through a horrible civil war, which went through a horrible, years of being ruled by dictators, a family dictatorship. Now that, Syria needs development if we want to see any kind of stability in Syria. Hopefully the regime in Iran will be finished and the Iranian people will get their country back, but it's going to require, a lot of damage is happening right now. It's going to require a lot of investment, a lot of rebuilding. There's so many countries that, Venezuela, right? And of course, Ukraine. So we need to think about how we're going to do that. Strategically, we should be thinking here in the U.S. and in the West, not just within, what's going to happen by the summer or by the midterm elections, but what are we going to do in 5 years? How are we going to handle all of this, and how we and our partners, and by the way, we need our partners to do this together with us to bring prosperity. And then we should make demands of people that we help, like which we did after the Second World War. We are going to help rebuild Germany, but we have expectations of the form of government. We're going to help rebuild Japan, but we are going to have expectations. We're not going to allow a dictatorship, right? We don't want militarism like we had in the past. And in return, what the Ukrainians should understand, we'll just speak about Ukraine, one of the things I'm proudest of as an American is at that time, when we did that for countries, we helped them get on their feet and then we turned the countries over. I don't know of any other empire or country that's done that, where we rebuilt Germany and now Germany is one of our biggest economic competitors. We helped rebuild Japan. When I was younger in the 70s, Japan was considered a big economic threat to the United States. They put out of business a lot of the automobile industry because they were better at producing vehicles, like quality vehicles that were cheaper. We helped them get there, right? We built and then we turned over the industry to the Japanese. And it was a net plus for us, I think, and a net plus for the Japanese. The Ukrainians should remember that because there's going to be a lot of sensitivity about foreigners coming in and having too much control over a company or although what I see with Ukrainians now is I think, one thing Americans should understand is the majority of Ukrainians I deal with, and I deal with a pretty large swath, are very well educated. And they're very, very, we see it now on the battlefield, very innovative and progressive business-wise. So that's a good thing because I think that there's a lot of potential for partnerships with Ukrainian companies in the future. Now, when it comes to Iran, Syria, there's going to be a little bit different equation there. And we're probably, by the way, we're seeing it already in the Middle East, we're going to need the Ukrainians' help, not just in building counter-drone systems, but actually rebuilding economies, agriculturally, right? Look at the expertise that Ukraine has in the energy space. So